Hi there, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 29 of Nerf News from the Owl Ranch. This week, I wanted to do a developmental Owl Ranch that really talked about the new mods and the new ideas we're coming in, come up with a few ideas to aid in a few designs, and also to honor those that have done really great designs, like this Spamf right here that I'm going to shoot at you all episode because I am psychotic. Yes, just like that. And I'm just such a good shot that I'm going to hit the camera holder and not the camera itself and not break it. Because you want to know why? Because I learned to shoot in Utah. Luckily for you right now, I'm out of ammo. But I'm not out of news. So let's get right to it, shall we? You know, I don't know why. I just feel like shooting you today. I can't explain myself. I'm psychotic, you know. At least I'm not using real guns, right? Right. Yes. So, this week, what we saw this week was a lot of new stuff from Nerf EZE. This nylon Chronos plunger upgrade. Wow, made out of SLS. I mean, this is really crazy cool stuff. He's not just worked with this stuff with the Chronos parts for his Chronomag kit, but also some other parts like a Stampede plunger rod. When, gosh, we all know how much we need a good Stampede plunger rod. We do. It looks a little rough and finished, but when it comes to stuff like this, holding your O-rings and pretty much that's your surface, that's pretty much all that matters, you know. There's a lot of really, really cool 3D printers out there. They're expensive, but they're cool. SLS metal, SLS nylon. It really could be a real wave in the future for just, you know, making some strong internals. One of the weak parts of making internals, let's say a magwell, that's not a big deal. But when you're talking a trigger catch and a plunger head, you know, major luck. You have to usually you have to use some molded parts, otherwise it just breaks. It will break after like 5K or 6K or 2K or 3K, simply because it's not strong enough. You know what I mean? Like this brilliant blaster by Gavin Fuzzy, the Spamf. You can see where he used the assets of 3D printing, and then he used the assets of the blaster. So when it came to the plunger rod and the trigger catch, he used what was already there. But when it came to the magazine and the rest of the body, he made it 3D printed. You know, and then he worked on making the pusher as strong as you could, because of course you have to replace the pusher on these. Or I couldn't have done that to you just now with a waffle-headed dart. I mean, I couldn't have done it. So, yeah. So there's just a lot of really cool things that Nerf EZE is working on. And this is going to be a big part of our episode this week because this is a modder which I believe has gone a really long way lately. And I believe deserves some recognition. You can get this off his Etsy store for $7.56. And Singapore it's $10. I believe it's another $10 upgrade if you already have an order. So it's like, why not? You know, me myself personally, I haven't had a problem with it. I haven't had a problem with this pusher. My pusher, yeah, it's still intact. But then again, I'm also 43 years old. I do handle things really, really well, and I'm not so aggressive with stuff. I mean, I may be aggressive at shooting at stuff, but not necessarily my blasters, which I use as my criminals in, you know, a comply when I go shoot stuff. Only my weapons understand me. Here, you can see an actual destruction test he did versus a normal 3D printed pusher and an SLS printed pusher. I really think this stuff could be the stuff of the future. I mean, really could. Especially if you, instead of building parts where they slide, you can build them with bearers or rings. I mean, really. So right then, he just takes this tool, and he just basically. Funny how an O-ring will actually help it form together. Snap. There it is. It's the circumcision of a pusher, yes. Now, check this out. Now he's going to try on this. What? He can bend it and everything else, but he can't break it. See that? Nylon was, of course, the material used for, like, let's say the jet bolt sleds. They were very flexible. Of course, it also matters what kind of nylon you use. So, although you can crease it, you can put notches in it, I mean, it's not totally indestructible, but to be honest with you, neither is aluminum totally indestructible. You can F up an aluminum part very easy, actually. It doesn't break, and that's the point here, is that it doesn't break. It's just incredible, and this has really gotten me thinking about building a few of my designs that I want to build that I felt were impossible to build, but, well, maybe not so much anymore. Maybe I could do a one-off, two-off with certain things, so stay tuned for that. But I wanted to show why my favorite backdrop decoration wasn't up today, and that is because I'm doing extensive work on the pusher on this, and some other reinforcements, some other things, such as this laminate tape padding back here, and such things as this groove here that has laminate tape on there and locks this brass tube into place, and a few other things. But I wanted to show you guys why this isn't up. Oh yes, and I'm redoing the seals a bit. But at any rate, that doesn't sit like that anymore. I wanted to show you what I was working on. I'm doing some work on it, and I'm boring that out to 11 millimeters. Which what I found was, with that tube and this to 11 millimeters, this pulls an 11.29 to 1 compression ratio from this to this size. If you have an alpha kit, it's about, with this tube, it's about 15 to 1. So it was a little too high for this. A normal tube is about 12 to 1. And an Omega on a 36 millimeter tube is 21, just over 21 to 1 compression ratio. That means it's got to compress it 21 to 1. And then, because this is only 1.2 milliliters per inch of running air, if you go 8 millimeters, it would have to uncompress it to 3.23 milliliters of air per running inch. As where this has to go from 11 to 1, 11.28 to 1, then 2.48 2.48 milliliters to 1, and then to 3.23 milliliters. So it's a little less of a drop. And what it does is, of course, it's a more efficient of a system. You see, it has to decompress less in order to power it. And stuff like this, when you're talking a 400 foot per second long shot, kind of important. So anyway, this is why this will not be in the background today, is because of that. So let's get to the news, shall we? Oh yes, and that's a really good 3x940, by the way. Although I have to admit, though, this is my favorite right here, because this has been a problem many people have had with the Stampedes, the Sentinel plunger rods too. Like your Nerf Sentinels. Oh, they would really benefit from this technology. So he goes ahead and he clamps it. Okay, he clamps it together. Nothing that would make it reinforce better, and he pulls on it with a spring gauge. Just a normal analog spring gauge. Look at this. Look at this. Oh man. Now I know normally if you were to do that to like a Nerf plunger rod, schnappers, man, just schnappers. You have no catch. That one little thin part that comes up. A lot of the Busby stuff has this problem too. And it's like, wow, look, he's trying as hard as he can. Just trying as hard as he can. I'm sure if you hooked it to a car or something, you could break it. But the point is that this stuff is much better to handle in stresses. And it's just incredible the kind of work he's doing. And I know I'm getting to it. I'm getting to the best part of Nerf EZE stuff. I covered it last week, but I'm going to cover it this week too. Because we all know what he did and what Wacom came out with and showed us last week for actually what I would consider a pretty inexpensive price, $374 for an auto priming long shot kit, and I think that's just the beginning. Okay, what this guy represents here, much more than I've seen in many years, is the future. His designs, his ideals, his thinking. I really think that I see a lot of this thinking of the future rather than this go with the flock and do the normal stuff and, everything's designed and nothing we can do about 3D printing. No, there are other solutions that are available. And I like the fact that we're seeing that here. So another thing that Ezekiel has been working on at Nerf EZE is a mechanical dart loading device. Look at this thing, man. Wow. It's a mechanical dart loader. One that can just load a dart from a funnel. Look at that. That is so interesting. Wow. So you can dump your stuffings in and it can just just load them, man. Check this out. As long as the heads are in the same direction. Oh, man. And it automatically just pushes them down. And that's one thing he's gonna have to figure out is what to do about the front heaviness. Like you saw that one go backward. Yeah. So maybe some way to hold them down. Maybe some way to pull down the darts. Maybe some air current to pull down the darts. Ooh, yeah. So he just loaded that into a Talamag. Work in progress, things, stuff like that. But can you imagine if you had just, like, he made an automated one of these? That, of course, had some suction behind. So I'm going to give you a little advice, Ezekiel. Figure out a way on the funnel to draw some air back where the back tips are. Yeah, so I figured out how to suck air into the back so that the darts would always lay flat, and then would go forward, and then something that holds the darts back. But I don't know. I'm kind of working on it. I'm thinking kind of a suction table, like we used to use a lot of feed tables and section tables and like printing. And one way that you would run, a piece of paper to a press with no air is basically make it like a hockey table. But when you wanted to hold something down, let's say you were using a Heidelberg cutter, for example. Someone did a modification that not only does it have an air table that goes up, but when you're hitting the press, it's actually sucking air down. And of course, a Heidelberg paper cutter table had those little ball valves. So if you had paper on there, it would be pushing air through. If you didn't, it wouldn't. Well, you can do that principle in reverse. You just got to make sure that the suction doesn't apply to the to the balls. So the way to do it, of course, is you make the balls really heavy. Like you make the springs in there really heavy, and you max out so basically you double the suction going, the air going through it. And then you make it so the suction, that's how you do it. But it still stays in place. It's really interesting. You would think that wouldn't work, but it actually does. And so when you're hitting the cutter, it actually goes like that. So I got that idea from that. So a friend had actually modified one of those Heidelberg cutters for large format presses. And he had done that on his paper because what was happening was he had a special kind of paper that the hydraulic part of it was a type of corrugated board that the hydraulic part of it was pressing too hard. So he lowered the pressure on that and he raised the pressure on the suction because he was running corrugated through a Heidelberg Speedmaster CD or something like that. Yeah. And it worked. It made it so that you don't have to throw out the top two pieces of cardboard every time you cut, which was really, really cool. And another engineering problem that one of my friends told me about so long ago, when I used to be in printing ages ago. So that's an idea. Another idea is maybe have if you have your darts like this, with that thing that goes like this, you have another belt that's pushing them down. So imagine your dart is in the hopper. Watch this. Okay, it's going down like this, and of course, its front hook is going to go like this. What happens is you have this little, it's not sharp. It's just a piece of silk or a piece of vinyl or whatever, and it's just pulling the dart down. So you have this little belt that's going, and it's catching the back of the dart and making sure this side doesn't flip up. That's an idea too, and then something that holds it against it, like so. See, I think there's a fast mechanism that can be used for that fast dart feeding mechanism. And I think you can make one of those do literally like load a Talamag, brip, load a Talamag, brip, load a Talamag, brip. Again, the future. And that's kind of what this episode is. It's the future. Yeah. So I think it can be done. Can you imagine if you had a Talon refilling station and you had like hundreds of magazines and you just That would be just the baddest. Wouldn't that be the greatest? Brian Bolino posted this on my board, Death by Nerf Blaster. Pretty cool. Using the same kind of tube that that Big Blue uses, that you probably saw in the show's introduction, that I showed everybody. Why Big Blue's not here right now, I'm actually working on it. So I went to the bathroom and I showed you where it is. Yeah, and it's basically a 1/2 inch brass drain line, 4.16. Yeah, it's 37.5 millimeters, as I come to find out on mine. And it's a good idea. I just have a couple suggestions. Number one, does anybody remember my experiment with the wire cage spring plate in the back? Is anybody? Anybody at all? Where I actually not only was able to put a spring down here, but because it's tilted at an angle, you're losing a lot of torque and velocity. But it has a spring here. So my advice is calculate how much distance you have between this and this, and close that gap up on full close prime as possible. Then put wires here, and I'm talking like braided stainless steel wires along here, and put a spring in there. Yeah, any size spring you want, really. You may have to reinforce these side brackets here, so that when you have the spring in there, the whole spring doesn't crush and the whole thing goes back. So you may have to put some kind of spring plate here. But you can probably put as high as maybe a 14 kilogram Longstrot spring in there. You guys get where I'm going with this? Yeah. Or like an 18 worker. Ooh. This made me want to think that maybe I want to look at this design again. My idea of the cage, but I never did anything with the tube. But I'm looking at this right now and I'm going like, the only thing he's missing is application of power directly to the plunger head. And if he had that, ooh, that'd be pretty cool. You might need to put some spring spacers in here where this hinge is, so that it goes right into there. And you may have to do a few other things, but wow, can you imagine a hammer shot that can shoot 200 feet per second? I could see it. I could see it. The draw would be brutal, yes, but might actually be easier because you're not converting the down force into back force. It's just going straight back. It might actually be easier to do. And you may have to use stuff like metal internals. You may have to use the metal hammer kit and the metal trigger kit. Maybe. But think about all this stuff that's been made for the hammer shot. The metal kits and all that stuff. Think about it. I know this is a little bit, this Owl Ranch is news, but it's a little bit more, you know, a little bit more ideas today. Yes. And when I saw this, I'm like, well, I have a couple of sweet revenges lying around. Where's one of them? Hold on. Is this one my upgrade of the spring? No, it's not. So I can imagine if I did something like that to something like this. And imagine you had this big, like plunger tube right here. How cool that would look, you know. Yeah. It's kind of cool. I mean, especially the Sweet Revenges. I like the Sweet Revenge. They're pretty cool, but it's always been underwhelming of power. And so this is not only news, but there's some suggestions for you. Let's see what you do with it. So, tickets for the second annual, is it second, really? Second? I thought there were other Ragnar Oktoberfests before that one. Okay, but at any rate, Ragnar Oktoberfest. Don't quote me if it's a second annual or not, but it says it, but I don't know, I don't believe that. I've heard of Ragnar Oktoberfest before. Maybe it was another, maybe I'm confusing it with another war. I don't know. Tell me about it. Just write me in the comments. Tell me what you think, okay? Anyway, it's going to be held Friday, October 11th through Sunday, October 13th. Tickets go on sale now. Stocking Dead is $5. Your games the next day, $5. I don't know how much BTA is, but I think everyone's got to have matching jerseys, this and that. The modelings this year are 130 rather than 150 feet per second. It's being held at Independence High School in San Jose, which is really cool. I saw overhead pictures of the venue. It looks really cool. Remember back on an earlier Owl Ranch, I actually saw it. Will I be able to make it? I don't know. I honestly don't know. This year's tight. last year I had a little extra money. I could actually make it there. And it ended up costing more than I wanted to anyway because we ended up busing there and then we had to take a bunch of lifts and that was a lot of money. I don't know if I can make it. Maybe if I pal with some people, but also my transportation isn't that great. I have a car with no air conditioner at the moment, and I'd have to drive all the way up there. I mean, maybe if I took a bus and I stayed with some friends, maybe some Nerf friends, maybe some people that live more in the area, going to Ragnar, maybe. If you want to try to hook something up, let me know. You've already done, like, a lot of you guys have already done a lot for me already, so I feel strange for asking for anything like that. But, I can always buy pizza that night, the night I show up, that sort of thing. But, yeah, it's going on, and it's really cool. And I know I won Stalking Dead last year. I want to go. I really want to go because last year my blasters were shooting about 120, 130 per second anyway, because I tried to downgrade my Chronoses, and they were only shooting about 130, and I downgraded my Mauser fire, and with the PAC-Ds they were shooting around 140, 150. But with the darts that I had to use, which were the rubber-headed darts, they're only shooting about 130. So it would be perfect for this. I mean, now that's down to 130, and I wouldn't have to bring this either and shoot you. Made you look. Yeah, so, at any rate, this is going on, and of course the tickets are cheaper now. They will not be as cheap later. Do put that in mind, okay? And hopefully I'll make it. Maybe I won't. Usually I'm a local wars only kind of guy, but you never know. Let's see what happens, okay? Let's see what September, October brings. Now this week he added some shrouds to the main gear assembly and this part, so it doesn't, like, if I pick it up, it doesn't cut on my hair, and I'm firing a blaster, and I go that would suck. I'm sure you would all laugh at me, but I think that would suck if I had my hair caught in one of these. But no, he fixed it. Look at this right here. This is really cool. So let me enlarge this picture. This shroud right here. What I think could be done, and it does kind of look cool. It's a skeletonized kind of thing. I think that one can put overhangs going over the whole thing here, just like this. And one could possibly make a shell that bolts into here, bolts into here, bolts into here, and just makes it all look kind of like one piece. That'd be kind of cool. And if this is like black and you were to make this like crimson red, that would be cool. The only thing we, of course, are concerned would be these motors, because this fan here, but I would have it so that the cover has a poured out and everything like that. Making one of those out of fiberglass, that would be really cool. That was a suggestion I had for him, is to make a shell out of fiberglass for this. It's heavy. A lot of people consider it expensive. Well, unless you're a long shot person, long shots are like boats. They get expensive fast. They just do, But who can forget this, of course? He is really on a train, on a streak, on a roll. And I really wanted to tell him that. And I really wanted to show everybody, why do I think that? And not only that, but he listens to seniors. He listens to me. He listens to other people. He listens to other people's advice. He's not like closed-minded like a lot of my mentors were coming up in the Nerf community, like, of course, Ninja Hang, who would not listen to anybody else's advice, or wouldn't had a lot of pride in his design and everything. No, it's good to have pride, to be proud of your design, but the word pride, yeah, that goes a long way, and I like the fact that he represents that new part of this generation that is inspired and listens to older talent and listens to the feedback of others. And doesn't just say, oh, you just don't understand. No. This is what you're making the parts for. This is what you're making all this for. You're doing this all for this hobby. You should understand, So, yeah, this is really, really cool. And I don't know if I'm going to get this one, but it does definitely have a reach. And once again, I say the future. Why? Because I can easily see a blaster where this kind of mechanism is incorporated into, let's say, instead of the bolts design, you're using the rails design to push the pusher. But don't do it like Worker did it. I'm talking cleaner, okay? something like a blaster could be made with these motors and these things all in one shell. Would it weigh a lot? Yes, but you know, an M14 weighs 14 pounds. So it's no big deal. And I mean, you hold an M14 in your hands, yes, it's hefty, but you know, it actually feels like it makes sense when you hold an M14 in your hands, um, because it needs that weight. You know, it does. And I can easily see this going further, but I don't. But fortunately, I don't see it copied very easy. But like, let's say Worker, who would take this and go, "Ooh, let's make this out of aluminum." Yeah, so these would rip in 2 seconds out of aluminum at 20K. I have no doubt, no doubt, and I see a little bit of copy protection there. And there's another thing that's really good about designing certain blasters that have a little bit of copy protection to them. Like this has a little bit of copy protection to it because it takes a lot of skill to build one of these. It takes a lot of know-how. It's not just easy to do, you know. So keep at it. I want you I want you to know that this modder is one to watch. And he doesn't just represent the current demand of products. In my opinion, his designs are representing more the future. I mean, I can see Captain Slug representing kind of currently what they want, okay? A kind of snap pull design that can take katana mags or full length mags. Okay, cool. But that's more the current desire. What I see here is more the future. And this is why I know if I get $1 million or $1 billion or I win the lottery tomorrow, he's one of the guys I'm hiring, and right along with probably Gavin Fuzzy, probably right along with Mr. Heathpants, Adrian Ward, a Meeker, a bunch of people, okay? A bunch of people. And we would go to town because I really feel like this together in a team would be cool. But you need the talent to do that. You also need the money to bankroll that. But, you know, my idea is the future, basically, you know. So if you really, really want to make something cool, let's say you want Dart Zone to be more than just another CETA, manufacturer CETAs, and copy katana mags, and you want somebody who can actually do something great in this realm, there you go. Call him. You want to do more than just make another Retaliator, there you go. I'm not digging on the Dart Zone Pro, which has sold 470 units so far since it was put on sale, you know, a couple weeks ago. But I was expecting those kind of stagnant numbers. And if you think about it in a business sense, 470, maybe to somebody who lives in Pacoima in some 2-bedroom house, that's a pretty good amount of money. But for some company, that's not a lot of money. It's not really a breakthrough. And I don't really think we're going to see a breakthrough in the industry until A, this kind of stuff is available to the public, not just mail order. Number 2, that it is more than just another rehash, the Retaliator or the Long Shot or something else. And number 3, if we don't get the best and the brightest of us together to make it really stand out above the community of the airsoft community and the paintball community, and not just people who can connect with people like me, or people who have great news shows such as Adriana, Foam Blast, or Jangular, or you know, and that way we do speak for the community, sure. But I mean, who watches it? The community, of course. Okay, who watches my show? People in the community, pretty deep in the community, because I got to put up with my long-windedness to get to the point. They're really interested in what I have to say, and what I'm talking about. That's kind of also the point of the shows. I don't care much about viewers. I care about more what people hear and how it is received. But it's going to take an effort, and that effort has to be something real and genuine. Not just something that we've been using and proven for a decade. That's not going to work. I want to cover a few updates to the Nerf line that we have seen this week. One of which was what the foam reported it. It was the purple scar. Now, we all made fun, and I know it was even a title graphic of Death by Nerf Blaster for a while, that this just looked like a big stick of butter. Now it looks like a big piece of tapioca. It's purple. Come on, Facebook, be my friend. It's like tapioca. It's like ugly looking, yes. But it is that nice purple color. Everybody knows the purple scar was great before they came out with the golden scar in the Fortnite game. Yes, but here you go. Yeah. It still has the same funky geometry. It still looks the same cartoony kind of way. I think the guys who drew the Warner Brothers cartoons could have done a better job of designing this thing. But hey, that's just me. Okay, that's just what I think. But here it is in purple, and just like they disappointed us with the blue HCE, they disappointed us with the ARL, which is now the Scar ARE with this purple version. Yes, and it's, yeah, just way to fuck us over again, Hasbro. This is, once again, What the Foam reporting another product change in Rampage. This is the Rampage. Blue and white and orange kind of looks like the old Retaliator design. But they're doing this for the Rampage. I think that looks really cool. It comes with one 18-round mag. That is my one complaint right there. It doesn't have the drums. And although I feel like the 25-round drum wasn't really that big a deal, I kind of wish they did throw an 18 instead of 25-rounder. The traditional 35-rounders is at the end of the era for the drums. Well, if you have a new Titan, no, it's not the end of the era. But it is still, why only a magazine? Really, I know we end up, using our first drum round, and then we pull our magazines and we drop the drum and we play with the magazines once we run out of ammo in the drum. But the drum still gave you a great advantage of, in the beginning of the round, you didn't have to reload so fast. You had the drum. Especially if you had a big 35-rounder, you had the drum. And then during the game, you could just dump that and just run 18-round mags, which is really cool. I will answer you later, Qualcomm, in a second. This has kind of got me let down. I still have a brand new unbox, Sonic Ice Rampage. As a matter of fact, let me break that out and show you. That's right, even people like Qualcomm asked for my advice. Yeah, we got it. And the most iconic thing about this is the drum. But why did you buy the Raider of the Recon back in the day? The drum. Why did you buy it over the Retaliator? Drum. Think about it. Think about it. And now that's gone, and the Retaliator's more moddable. An Alpha Trooper is more moddable. Actually, an Alpha Trooper is more moddable. There's kits for the fucking Alpha Trooper now. It's like, why? Although I am looking forward to getting this model because I kind of like the color scheme on it. I like the white jam door. I think that's really, really cool. But it's the end of an era, man. And you would think it wouldn't be with the Titan coming out with the 50-rounder. Are they really saying this is the most we're going to do? We're going to get rid of the rest of drums? I hope not, because Busby overseas has that 30-round drum. Unfortunately, they do not have it for the United States version of that blaster that has a 30-round drum. It's actually a stick mag. Well, until next time, I got to get back to Qualcomm and answer him a question about the Star Shot. This is Chris Cartaya. This is Nerf News from Hour Ranch, Season 2, Episode 2029. And it's been a blast. So don't you go changing, or I'll find you. And I think you know what I'm going to do to you. Oh, yeah. And the tripod, too. Yeah. Okay, so some air, which just kind of sucks it down. Who the fuck is this? What are we doing? Oh, this stupid lady again. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? It's that, Quick! She's losing blood fast! Get one of these Tampax tampon applicators. These Tampax tampon applicators. Made from the base of a Nerf Rapid Strike. The Tampax tampon applicators can quickly plug up any ant flow that may come your way. Mrs. Pelosi uses it, and as do many other politicians that bleed like a stuck pig because God is punishing them for lying, so it goes right out their crack hole. That's right. The Tampax tampon applicator at a Loot Medic store near you. Now, and some reinforcement on here, as you can see. That just fell everywhere. Okay, and you see that? This little pad, I have both sides padded here. I just lost a whole bunch of screws. Shit. Alright, well, at any rate, time to get some number 4 machine screws from, from, you know where. Lowe's. Yeah. I find this kind of interesting. I actually do. This is,